online ministry. My name is Reverend Alicia Leslie, and today we're answering that question, am I my brother's keeper? I know we're all familiar with it, and this is coming from the 4th chapter in Genesis as we continue my Hear the Bible 2014, looking at the allegories, answering some of the people's very pertinent questions about life and humankind and what the meaning of all that is. So I'm sure you've heard the term, am I my brother's keeper? And maybe you didn't even realize it came from the Bible. Where it comes from is the story of Cain and Abel. In the story it says that Adam knew his wife Eve, which means they were intimate, and she conceived a son and called him Cain. The name Cain means of the earth. It means he was very earthy and carnal in his nature. She then conceived and gave birth to another son, and his name was Abel. And the word Abel, the name Abel, means breath. And this would indicate then that whereas Cain was a very earthly person, that Abel was a little bit more of a bigger spiritual kind of thinker. Well, Cain and Abel grew, and when the time came, they were bringing an offering to God. Now, it says in the Bible that Cain brought a grain offering because he was a tiller of the soil, and Abel, who raised livestock, brought his firstlings, which are the firstborn, and the fat portion thereof. It means that he brought the best of the best. And just so you know, when we give to God, we're always supposed to give right off the top and the best of the best, which is not what Cain had done. So what happened was God accepted Abel's offering, but he did not accept Cain's. And he said to Cain, you know, when you do not give your best, when you do not do it right, sin is crouching at your door waiting to spring, and you have to learn how to master it. I think the sin that he's talking of here is personal selfishness. Cain probably wanted the best of the grain for himself. He didn't want to give it to God, you know. Gosh, he had use for it. But that's not the way that we give. We always give the best of all we are and who we are first to God. It goes on and it says that when Cain saw that God didn't like his offering, his countenance fell. What does that mean? He was pouting. He was not happy. And God said, why is it that your countenance has fallen? What is wrong? You know, what's wrong? And so that is when he said, you know, you got to do things right if you want to get the right result. And that message is the same for all of us. But that wasn't enough of an answer for Cain. So what he does is he invites Abel, let's go out for a little walk in the field. And they go out in the field, and Cain kills Abel out of rage and anger and probably jealousy. Not a good thing. Well, God, being omniscient, knowing all, probably felt a disturbance in the force, when, as they would say in Star Wars, and felt a disturbance in the force, noticed something was wrong, and he says to Cain, where's your brother Abel? And here's where it comes in. Where's your brother Abel? Hey, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? It's probably, you know, one of the first major loopholes we try to jump through to shrug our responsibility and accountability to each other. So you see, when we don't give God the best and then we are not happy with the fact that we didn't get the best, it's not a good thing. And God says to Cain, what have you done? Your brother's blood cries out from the earth that received it. And because of this, you are going to be cursed. And the ground that you will till will not yield for you. And you are going to be banished. You are going to be a fugitive and a wanderer for all of your days. And you're going to be sent and banished over to the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now, the land of Nod, east of Eden, is a place of confusion and being lost and distraught. And Cain something and then he was banished for it, you know, there's no escape for it. Even someone killing him would hold him not accountable for all he has to do to continue to grow. What is he supposed to do? Learn how to control that sin that's crouching at the door. What is that sin that's crouching at the door? Selfishness. We cannot be selfish and be our brother's keeper at the same time. And don't think that that means that like you've got to do everything in the world. You do what is yours to do. You can't go out and make, you can't fix it all, but there are things that you are capable of fixing. And if you think that you cannot fix things, then there's that, you're denying that God gave you all this wonderful power that you have. Usually it's a matter of, and I know you don't like the words, nobody likes the word laziness and narcissism. It's much easier to gripe about what's going on in the world than to actually do something about it. Honest to God, it does not take that much to do even a little something to help a hungry person. You know, I used to drive around with little bag, non-perishable bag lunches and hand them out to homeless people. It's not as hard as we like to make it be. Why did we try to make it be harder than it is? Because that's a part of us that's selfish. It's inconvenient and uncomfortable to put myself out and go do all that stuff and be what? Be my brother's keeper. Now there's another story about that, if you are thinking, that Jesus talked about, and that is when he said that you had to love your neighbor, and the people said, well, the guy said, well, who is my neighbor, you know? Who is your neighbor? And he told the story of the Good Samaritan who helped the man that was beaten up on the side of the road. Edgar Casey, who was called the Sleeping Prophet, had a very good statement about, are you your brother's keeper? He said, let that rather be your watchword. I am my brother's keeper. Who is your brother? Whoever, wherever he is, that bears the imprint of the Maker in the earth, be he black, white, gray, or grizzled, young, old, Hottentot, on a throne, or the president's chair. Now, I picked this in particular because of the fact that it says president's chair. You know, I don't think that we have been our brother's keeper in light of our presidents, you know, in my memory. I've got a few years in presidents on me, and usually, you know, where it's easy to point our finger, to place blame, but not to be an active participant in the government that we are actually a part of. It's much easier to say, oh, nobody can do anything, you know, I can't. Yes, you can, and yes, we all should work together for the good of the whole. But the reason I use that particular reading is there's a new movie out, you've probably heard of it. It's called Son of God, and so who's it about? It's about Jesus, our way shower, our teacher, our brother, our Savior, and the one who showed us the way how to save ourselves from ourselves. And it so happens that when they did the early rushes of the movies and they were doing sneak previews and stuff, that somebody came up to the producers and said, I noticed the very clever casting that Satan looks just like President Barack Obama. He took this spiritually intended movie and found a way to twist it into matching his political agenda. And you wonder, what was in the eye of that beholder? Did this person really look like the president? Or was it just that in his eye he saw something that smacked of it? Well, the producer said, I'm not going to have that happen in my movie. I'm not going to take this wonderful movie about Jesus and let it get out there and be somebody's political agenda. So you know what they did? They cut Satan out of the movie. How's that for a grand move? You know, I would like to call that divine order. Get him out of there, because it didn't take away from the true gist of the movie. Now, in case you haven't heard of this movie yet, or who's the producer, guess who's producing it? It is Roma Downey. Now, do you remember Roma Downey? You say, oh, that name means something, but I can't put a face to it. Roma Downey is the angel. She played the angel in Touched by an Angel. And I think it's so wonderful that somehow the years of playing an angel just kind of came through her to produce this wonderful say, but it's too much, I can't, it's too much to do. Well, there's a man named Edward Everett Hugh, I think, and he said, I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And that which I can do, by the grace of God, I shall do. He said, I will not do something because I can't do it all. Rather, I will do what I can do. And that's what I would like to call you out to do today. You can't feed every hungry person on the planet all by yourself. You can't heal every wound. You can't fill every heart with love. But the ones that God brings to you, that you choose to provide for them love and caring. It can be here, it can be there. There are so many ways to share your time, your talent, your substance. If you can't think of something to do something. If you want help and think of something to do, just give me a little jingle, give me an email or whatever, and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. So I know that you're going to be struggling this week probably, because you know what happens after I teach a message, you're going to find that you're going to have many opportunities to not only take the opportunity to be your brother's keeper, you're also going to have opportunities to get out of it, to say to yourself, oh, am I my brother's keeper? Do I really have to do this? In some cases you can, in some cases you can't. When you feel like you can, before you decide you can't, I invite you to think about Cain. Think about what happened to him when he tried to avoid doing that which was his to do by saying, hey, am I my brother's keeper? If there's any way I can be there for you, do always feel free to email me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or anything you have. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, have a bright, beautiful, better than average day. And know always that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is